Studios. I'm Mike Rogers here at the desk. We're coming on the air this afternoon for a pursuit at extremely high speeds coming out of the Inland Empire. This pursuit started in Victorville. This person is wanted for having a no-bail felony warrant. We also understand that he is potentially armed and is known to have a violent history. CHP officers know who this person is. I want to bring up our Desmond Shaw. Des, we had just gotten off the freeway back on. Are we still 10 west?
We are still westbound 10, and this has kind of been the MO of this suspect. We know there's been quite a few junctures where he's gotten off the freeway and then just gotten right back on, and that was kind of a weird one because he got off and had to do kind of a U-turn there, a big do-si-tow you would call it, with CHP in tow. So they are still back there. I know that we have canines involved in this as well if the suspect decides to get out and run. We've covered a lot of area. We have canines involved in this as well if the suspect decides to get out and run. We've covered a lot of area. We understand that this began up in the high desert in the Victorville area with CHP up there, came down the Cajon Pass and then wrapped around the 215, went east on the 210, and then came to the end and decided to go westbound 10 through the Redlands area, and we've basically been westbound 10 ever since, with just a couple of brief breaks getting on and off and then right back on the freeway. He's done that at least 2 or 3 times, and we just saw it as well. Speeds, here we go. They have been pretty high, up to 100 miles an hour. We heard that there was some right shoulder driving as well when he was on the westbound 10 in the Fontana area, maybe trying to avoid some traffic. So, yeah, absolutely a dangerous situation here with what we believe is a Hyundai SUV. Hyundai or maybe a Honda. I'll try to clarify exactly what the build is here. Kind of a little crossover thing here, and he is pedal to the metal. We'll see what the plan is here, westbound 10, as we are barreling now through the San Gabriel Valley, Mike.
And Desmond, I believe if we, when we looked at it just a second ago too, I actually think that might be a Nissan. We were just hearing that information. So the CHP units, Des, are they still back there? There was some communication between the Baldwin Park CHP officers and the Rancho Cucamonga. Okay, they are still there. So these are Rancho Cucamonga CHP officers that are involved. What was interesting is that we had listened, and we'll see if they're going to change their mind, but the Baldwin Park CHP sergeant said they did not want to get involved because this is a known suspect, which is kind of interesting. So I think the Baldwin Park's kind of mentality behind this is, we'll go catch him later if you know who he is. I want to catch our viewers up. This is the 15 at Mojave where this pursuit started. The Victorville office of the CHP, actually off the freeway here, pretty high speeds. The Victorville CHP office stopped the car. He did stop and then took off from the officers during the traffic stop. So that's how they know who this person is. Juan Fernandez, Amy Johnson joining me here in the studio now as well. This pursuit has certainly gone a very long way, you guys.
I was going to say an incredibly long pursuit. The I-15 in Mojave, all the way from Victorville into the San Gabriel Valley.
Yeah.
That's an incredible distance at incredible speeds, so very dangerous. And Mike, as we were coming into the studio, I was hearing you and Desmond talking about this pursuit coming on and off the freeway at times, right?
Yeah, on and off the freeway. That's what happened right before we came on the air. And Des, he's back to the right behind the sound wall. So he did continue on behind the sound wall. It's hard to see him. But I think he's...
Is he still on the freeway?
Yep. No, he's right there. He's paralleling the freeway, and then kind of veer north. But yeah, I mean, we've done on and off the freeway before. We've done some pretty high speeds and some difficult moves as this guy's been going on. And the CHP office, you know, through the Inland Empire, they've been handing it off. But for some reason, the Baldwin Park CHP sergeant does not want their people to get involved. And it looks like we're going to get right back on the freeway, back 10 westbound now.
And Mike, you said that they did make a stop and they saw who was in there. It is only one person. Those windows certainly dark, hard to see if anybody else is in there.
We actually think there may be 2. There was reference to 2 people at first. It's hard. You see the tinted windows as Desmond is pointing out. But I believe that there is somebody in that front passenger seat. So
hard to see, huh, Mike?
It is hard to see. There you go, right there.
Yeah, you can see now,
Yeah. So there are 2 people in there. And then, yeah, that's again the second time we've done this kind of loop-de-loop on and off the freeway thing. 15 and Mojave is when they... Sorry, just listening. 15 in Mojave is where they tried to stop the guy. He did stop originally and then took off. Again, he has a felony warrant, according to CHP. There is also reason to believe that he potentially is armed. He has been armed in the past, they say, and has also had a history of being violent. Des, same exit we just got off at, or is this a different one?
Yeah. This is a different one here now, West Covina Parkway, kind of over by the West Covina Mall, big, busy, commercial corridor here. Very strange. It almost seems like maybe he's just trying to get enough distance from police that he thinks that he can get out and run. But you see CHP, they are glued to this guy. They are definitely not letting him get very much distance at all, regardless of the way that he's been driving in those high speeds. And you see him, pounding on the gas and then on the brake pedal as he gets off the freeway. He took, some of these off ramps really, really quickly. liable to lose control if he's not a little bit more ginger on the brakes there. So let's see, wrong way driving now. We saw this in that other commercial kind of corridor as well. There it looks like we've got, I think that was 40 King that was in the shot there. That's actually, that's LA County Sheriff's deputy, now my pilot Tyler, letting me know about that. So they've taken this over from the inland ship. We heard some communication about that earlier, probably have a fresh tank of gas as well. So that should be a pretty big benefit to the authorities. But yeah, we got some crazy driving here. Let's see if they're what the plan is. Sometimes these suspects love to go into the busy commercial. We just saw it yesterday with a pursuit that ended in the Sherman Oaks Galleria. Those big parking garages, big public places there can be very popular with these suspects. CHP definitely does not want to see a repeat of that situation now with this potentially violent suspect that could be armed and dangerous.
Mike, earlier you said that Baldwin Park said, no, we don't want it. Why does one agency say yes and the other one no? Is it just because of the distance? Started in Mojave, so far away, Victorville?
Well, what's interesting is it's not a different agency. It's the same agency.
Right.
It's both CHP. It's just different offices of the CHP. And it sounds like the argument the sergeant is making at Baldwin Park is, you guys know who this is. Go find him later.
Go find him later.
And let's not do this. But, you're in this situation. So the K9 units that are behind it right now are they're divisional wide, so they don't belong to an office. They belong to Inland Division or Southern Division, making a U-turn here on Glendora and the Service Avenue area here, back towards the freeway. We'll see if he gets back on it. But I am listening to, I'm trying to decipher here because there's a lot of officers talking over each other. Baldwin Park may finally be getting involved in this, or those K9 units are at least calling it out on the Baldwin Park frequency. So we're going to try to listen to that. And they're trying to see if West Covina PD wants to get involved because we're off on surface streets. We know he doesn't last long on surface streets, so we'll see. Oh, passenger's open.
Getting out. Oh.
She's out and fell.
Wow. On the ground?
Yeah, yeah.
Whoa.
So she was done. She didn't want to be involved in this anymore.
Wow. And the driver didn't slow down very much.
Not at all.
Yeah,
Let this person out.
That was a tuck and roll.
Wow.
Well, we're going to be re-queuing that video for our viewers in just a second here. I mean, it happened so fast,
so
incredibly,
quickly.
that took place.
And did you imply that it was a woman, a female in the passenger
It did look
seat?
like it, yeah, when she fell out. And I don't know what the circumstances, obviously, of the relationship between the two are, but that seemed to me to be like someone who did not want to be involved.
Exactly.
And was willing to roll out of the car to get away from this.
And it was in the front seat or back seat, Mike?
She was in the front seat.
She was, so it was that passenger we saw just a short time ago when Desmond had a nice clear shot of the front window there.
Yeah.
And now they'll want to catch up with her. Right side of your screen is the video from earlier, but they'll want to catch up with her and figure out what was her involvement. Was she being held against her will? Is this now a kidnapping situation? What role did she play in any of this?
She got very lucky. She didn't get run over, Mike,
Right.
by the CHP officer behind her or some other car behind her.
Yeah.
Just incredible. And now that you explained, Mike, that he did have a felony warrant. He's known to be armed. They know who this is. Makes sense now why Baldwin Park would say, hey, it's just maybe too dangerous. Go get him later.
And that's the thing. When you deal with CHP, they have different offices that have different sergeants that have different calls they want to make.
Yeah.
And the inland offices of the CHP said, no, we believe that this person is dangerous enough that we should be chasing them. And, we're obviously going to do risk versus reward. But in this situation, we think that we should continue to chase them. The Baldwin Park sergeant, who's in control of their officers, decided we don't want to take that risk. If you know who this person is, go get them later. And so that's what we're kind of dealing with. And look at that. No CHP. Oh, they're catching up now.
Yeah.
Is that still the K9, Des? Can you tell?
I believe it is.
Okay.
Yeah, I know there was talk about they wanted to make sure that they had canines at the ready for if the suspect decides to get out and run into a neighborhood. Pretty common protocol, especially with someone that they believe or has outstanding felony warrants that could involve violence. They want to have all of their resources ready. I know they were talking about getting some other canines that were a little closer to the area that we're in because we know that the canines were the Inland Division. So we'll see who else gets involved in this. But this is the longest that we've been off the freeway now and just kind of in this random neighborhood just north of the Industry Hills, Sheridan, the big hilltop golf course here, and the City of Industry, blowing through these stop signs. We've slowed down a little bit, but still, 40 miles an hour, 50 miles an hour on these smaller streets. And boy, it just also shows you what CHP, what any of these authorities have to deal with when they are wanting to stay as close as possible to these suspects. Not only do you have to worry about the suspect crashing, but you talk about someone that flew out of the passenger seat right there. It'd have to be, you want to be close, but you have to be so alert because, like you said, Juan, that person could have easily been run over if that CHP officer was, on the radio or something like that and not fully paying attention. Just another crazy factor that the authorities are dealing with around that suspect. And yeah, sustaining in these now kind of into an industrial area here. Let's see.
They pulled the ground units off. I just heard it on the radio.
He's got some space. This is the most space he's had from other suspects. You said they're calling off the ground units, Mike?
Yeah, they want him to stay in the area, but they don't want him chasing.
Dead end.
Yep. Let's see what he does. Well, he's going to have the room to spin around, and you can see it looks like we might have had a street takeover there in that cul-de-sac at some point with all those tire tracks. So okay, coming back out here, but they're giving him quite a bit of leeway to get out. Oh,
whoa!
Yeah, and letting him get out there. So yeah, it's tough. You see a dead end and you think it might be a good opportunity to surround this person, but if we're talking armed and dangerous and someone that is definitely behaving almost like a cornered animal and just the way that they are driving, and potential violence involved, do you really want to box that person in? That's a really tough decision. So CHP just kind of deciding that maybe that was not the right situation to try to end it. And we continue now on Amar Road, westbound, kind of on the border of West Covina and the City of Industry.
I don't know if it's my imagination, but it almost seems as if the driving got more aggressive, picked up the speed once that passenger jumped out of the car. It seemed like, a little more aggressive driving, and you wonder if that passenger was saying, hey, slow down, let's take it a little slower.
Check, right?
Yeah, but now it just seems like really picked up the pace, more aggressive, and really just showing the desperation of this person who just wants to get away.
Mike, on a side note here, remember the grappler? We did a story not too long ago. Has that been put on hold due to that accident, or just not being used as much?
So that was
not
the only
case for this.
Yeah, the only agency that we are aware of that is currently using the grappler is the Riverside County Sheriff.
I see.
So these units would not have that technology on it. Certainly would have helped, but yeah, they don't. To our knowledge, no other agencies in Southern California have rolled out the grappler. It's just the Riverside Sheriff that's been using it. And yeah, to your point, I mean, I guess now we're relatively a little bit slower than we were, but still 80 miles an hour on surface streets, and this is the longest we've been on surface streets, as Des pointed out. So we'll see if they're going to get back towards the freeway or what the game plan is here. And you would have thought that maybe they would have jumped out of the car in that cul-de-sac or looking for a spot to go while these ground units are a little bit further back. They're still in the area as Des is pulling out. Hopefully we'll see them somewhere there, but yeah, maybe they're a little bit further back than I realized. But yeah, the Baldwin Park CHP sergeant let them be involved, but then now wants them to just stay in the area and have the helicopter track it and see where he's going to go. Now we'll see if he gets back on the freeway, if that changes and they let the officers get back into it. We're kind of veering towards leaving the Baldwin Park office. We still have a little bit longer, but we'll be in the East LA office of the CHP if he keeps going in this direction, and then that'll be a whole new sergeant that'll get to make a decision on whether or not they want to chase this guy.
Well, interesting, this part of the San Gabriel Valley, Mike, seems to have very long stretches of wide road. Not a lot of turning here. He goes for quite a while before he makes any changes, and we're not seeing too much traffic here either.
Yeah, and it's because we're coming into the City of Industry, which is aptly named, it's industrial and a little bit more kind of warehouse type situations there, but still in neighborhoods as well. So there's still obviously a risk to the public here, but speeds are slowing down. So I wonder if he's going to try to, figure out a spot to dump the car and bail.
Yeah, and also, he doesn't see those cruisers behind him now,
Right.
So maybe slowing down a little bit, which of course is why they do this. When they back off, usually the suspects slow down, but not always, but that's certainly the hope. And we have seen this person slow down, which is certainly a benefit to all of this.
Oh yeah, of course, and which is, and that may be giving him the opportunity to try to figure out where to run. Now that's always a double-edged sword because you give them the room, they slow down, but then you're not where you need to be to take him into custody. So is that a bag in the front seat, Des?
Yeah, it looks like quite a bit of stuff there.
Stop here.
Stopping and reversing. We haven't seen this yet. He didn't like
that.
He
wants to get
doesn't
around
like
the car.
This situation. He maybe feels like he's a little bit cornered. Let's see if he's going to take down some of these barriers right here, or kind of surprised that.
Well, those are bendy barriers, so he can get right through that.
Yeah, right. Now on to Valley Boulevard, one of the actually probably the largest street in the San Gabriel Valley here, which will, kind of basically goes between the 10 and the 60. This will eventually, if he continues with it, will go under the 605 and over by the San Gabriel River, and then over kind of near El Monte Airport, where this it gets closer to the 10. So we'll see. Even with these wide streets, it is at least a little hard to see the speed slowing down a little bit here. Of course, he decides to go through a red light right there, but they're still watching him like a hawk from the helicopter over there. And I'm wondering if he can see that. This vehicle not equipped with the panoramic sunroof like we see some of the suspected vehicles over the last couple of weeks. So he doesn't have that that aerial view of the helicopters overhead, but might be able to hear, their chopper blades and coming down through another intersection here and just cutting people off all over the place. So lower speeds, but still some pretty desperate maneuvers, and we're going to be down at the 60 freeway, I believe, here pretty quickly, and we'll see, what the suspects thinking, if they're going to continue up into the hills there, around Whittier. Wrong way driving to get around this little backup here, just very kind of casually, bumping over whenever he has to keep the vehicle moving. Does not like being at a stop, that's for sure. Making another turn here off of Don Julian Road. So yeah, just kind of aimless now at this point. Just trying to put some more distance between him and the ground units, and last we saw, he has quite a bit of that right now. So what's the plan here? Gonna ditch the vehicle or just kind of continue aimlessly here around the San Gabriel Valley?
And Des, every once in a while we see the shadow of another helicopter. We know there's media helicopters up there, but who else is up there with you?
Yeah, LA County Sheriff's deputies, I believe, are the only law enforcement helicopter that is up here right now. And yeah, it's probably their shadow that you're seeing coming into the shot. And they fly quite a bit lower, and they'll do orbits around the vehicle as well, and just keeping everyone apprised of the vehicle's location. Haven't heard about CHP's fixed wing or anything. That's an aircraft that we've definitely been seeing employed a lot more often, because it can be a lot more incognito. They have to they fly a lot higher, but they're equipped with really good infrared technology and not so useful during the day perhaps, but at nighttime they could be a really good asset to kind of track these suspects without it being so obvious, and maybe getting them to kind of slow down, and then maybe you could guide units in and catch the suspect by surprise, but not going to be the case right now.
Des, real quick, just if you pull out, I think there's going to be a surprise for him coming up here at Workman Mill.
Oh.
So it sounded like they were trying to get, we'll see if he catches it. They're trying to get something set up for him here.
Now the road is narrowing, Mike, so it makes sense, right?
And he's picking up speed with the roadway here, so it'll be interesting to see. And I can't help but notice whatever's hanging from that driver's side door.
Yeah. Do you see that, Mike and Des?
Yeah, look, there he goes, right around him.
Saw it.
So there were the spikes.
Did he see it?
Yeah.
Darn.
Yeah, I think he did see it. It didn't look like that worked out. So, yeah, I mean, so he's got to know now. They are definitely getting pretty serious about trying to bring this to an end. Pop the suspect's tires. They are out there, on the peripheral of this pursuit, even if they're not actively behind him. And we'll see how the suspect reacts to that. A lot of times, when they encounter a spike strip like that, and they know how serious the situation is, that they tend to kind of panic a little bit. And now we do have the speeds a little bit higher as we are on Workman Mill. So basically paralleling the 605, kind of headed at a Whittier trajectory if we continue southbound here on Workman Mill, very close to the 60-605 interchange.
And Des, really quick, Vicky texted the desk and asked the same question as Amy. Can you see what's hanging from the door? Does it look like a piece of the molding just fell off, or is coming off?
Yeah, right there. It looks like it.
Let's see here. It looks like it might just be like a little trim piece or something there from the bottom of the door that is hanging out. Something flapping there, but yeah, it doesn't look to be a structural component or anything like that.
We haven't seen any types of incidents where they've collided with anybody, right?
No, we do know that he was driving on the shoulder for a good period of time back in the Inland Empire, so he may have kicked up some road debris and.
Or maybe a curb that was kind of higher up than the bumper, right?
Yeah. And I think, Des, do we have an opportunity to get back on the freeway here? Oh, there it is.
Not directly from work. If he continues up here, this will bend around, and he'll be able to join the 605 freeway. He'll have a chance up here around Beverly Boulevard, I think. if he continues here. So that was the 60 we went underneath. Now we're directly paralleling the 605. There's the transition there, north 605 to the 60 freeway to see. Got the window's been kind of half down, but not quite enough that we can get a great view inside. They were getting a little bit of a glimpse, but can't make too much out there. If he's wearing it's like a red something, or that's like a sash or just part of the shirt design, can't quite tell. But a lot of stuff in the passenger seat, it looked like as well, where that person was sitting earlier before they bailed out of the vehicle. 55 miles an hour, and wondering if he's sticking to this to avoid, this is kind of that time of the afternoon where the southbound 605 can start to kind of load up. But yeah, ever since we've been off the freeway now for just as I say that, now we're getting north 605. It looks like. So, all right, what is the plan now? Yeah, that we were off the on surface streets there for quite a long time, and now back on the freeway, northbound 605, coming up to the juncture of the 60.
And most likely he's going to be picking up speed. Mike, a question for you. What dinged him today? We know that there was a warrant out for him, a felony warrant. They know who the guy is. He may be armed. What was it, a license plate reader type thing, or somebody saw him, or what?
Sharon just texted the desk and asked the same question. A reminder, there's a number on the screen if you have questions, 818-221-2222. The answer to that is originally it was, I think that the warrant is why they originally tried to stop him. I don't know if it was an automatic license plate reader or if it was an officer that just observed it. But yeah, they did. That sounded like what the original want was. And again, he did initially stop at the 15 freeway in Mojave up in the Victorville area. It was Victorville CHP that originally tried to stop this person. And he did stop at some point and then took off. And there's the LA County Sheriff's helicopter going right through the shot.
Mike?
Yeah, he's at actually how low he is. They're about 675 feet, about 700 feet, according to the radar data here. But yeah, so, we're back. Was this back eastbound 60 now, Des?
Yeah, eastbound 60 now coming through Industry as we head back to the eastern San Gabriel Valley. And traffic conditions are pretty easy right now. Still early enough in the day. The eastbound 60, I don't think it's going to start to jam up here for at least a little while longer. And then this will put us over towards the 60-57 and the Diamond Bar area. Fairly open conditions. Let's see how hard the suspect, wants to push it as far as, high speeds and, cutting in and out of lanes the way that they were earlier. But so far, considerably more subdued than earlier in the pursuit.
And we do want to take another opportunity to show our viewers there was a passenger in the vehicle with this person, and we're showing you now on the right side of our screen. We're trying to slow it down so you can really see how this person
she crawls to the
right
curb.
out of the car, crawling to the curb. You can see it one more time here as he takes the corner. This person, which we believe is a woman.
Oh, here we go.
Oh, just kind of rolls out of the car. See them right there, and
incredible that she wasn't hurt.
Yeah, exactly. Didn't get run over by a following officer or just another car or by the tires themselves of this vehicle, because we know that can happen as well. But they were able to get out, and once that person got out, we did see speeds pick up a little bit. The pursuit there seemed to, get beefed up a little bit. I'm just going to say they were a little more aggressive, driving a little faster, and now we see this driver back on the freeway on the 60. And we often talk about the freeways being a little less dangerous because you don't have those intersections, you don't have pedestrians, but this person is just really desperate to get away from law enforcement, and we don't even have law enforcement right behind this car. They've really held back and really just following it mostly by air.
On and off the freeway, Amy, and one attempt at deploying the spike strips didn't work. He was able to avoid those, drove right around them, drove on surface streets for a little while after that, and then he knew, as you said, head on back to the freeway. Not only is it safer, but longer stretches of road, higher speeds, less to worry about. And, CHP is not going to deploy spike strips on the freeway.
No, and Des, we haven't seen any cars behind this driver now that they're back on the 60. Still just tracking this car with the airships there?
Yeah, that's what we just saw as well when I was zooming out. Still not seeing anyone behind the suspect, and he hasn't had anyone directly behind him now for quite some time. So you're just wondering how this is playing kind of into his mental plan, if he has one at all, or if he's just kind of running out the clock, or what the plan is. But we do know that when it gets to this situation, the suspects definitely have some advantages. We see it all too often here. So, we know that units are kind of in the periphery of the area, but if this person has 90 seconds, 2 minutes, or even a little bit more than that to make a getaway if they get out on foot, oftentimes that is all that they need. And viewers that were watching last night know exactly what I'm talking about. So. What exactly is everyone's plan here? This suspect, where are they headed? Will CHP try to get some spike strips ready on surface streets if need be? We've definitely seen them deploy them on the freeway before. It's a very delicate operation. It requires obviously perfect timing, and it can still not be successful. So that's kind of a last resort, I would say, from CHP. But at this point, they seem to be just content to monitor from the air and see what his next move is going to be.
And I think Desmond was talking about the pursuit that we had last night, where the driver went into the Sherman Oaks Fashion Square parking lot there, and during the time that he was being, chased by police, he was able to make some phone calls. There was a black Mercedes waiting for him in the parking structure, and he was able to leave. Mike, I'm seeing you nod your head. You have some info for us?
Yeah, you just always wonder when they're not chasing him, they're chasing, when they're not chasing him, they're not right behind him.
Right.
Just as you were saying, what phone calls are able to be made, what, information is the suspect able to do. It's kind of interesting because, he's obviously only at 45 miles an hour, but I think it's because there's traffic. But, we're roughly heading back to where we came from, So maybe he got off and thought he was going to be able to try his luck in the San Gabriel Valley and find somewhere to ditch the car, and it just didn't work. But I think the benefit that this guy does not have is that the benefit that this person does not have is that they know who they are. The CHP knows who this is, and so that obviously makes things a little bit more tricky for the suspect, because they know that they can come find him at some other point.
Mike and our producer just telling us in our ear, I don't know if you heard it as well, apparently it's a role reversal. It's a female driver, male passenger.
Oh, really? Okay. Yeah, we don't get
Is that right, Ziggy?
Both females.
Oh, both females.
Yeah, female passenger, female driver.
Oh.
Oh, yeah, we don't get that terribly often.
Not very often.
No.
It always surprises me, I have to say, when you see that it's a female driver.
Yes. It used to be very rare, but now it seems that we see more and more women involved in these pursuits. And every time, I think out of habit, we call the driver a he and him and what he's doing. And now we just have to...
And the passenger's a she, and, didn't want to get involved.
Yes.
And in this case, it was two women, and that girlfriend said, no, I don't want to be involved in this. Let me out. Yeah. And she jumped out and got very lucky. She didn't get hit by another car. And here we are, Mike, as you were saying, on the 60 heading eastbound. Still a ways from the 15 freeway where this car may be headed to, but maybe heading back to Victorville.
Maybe headed back to Victorville. We'll have to go. It'll be a minute before we get back into that area. But it's certainly possible that's what they're kind of after it didn't work out well here. So we'll see. This car is, I don't know what the fuel tank on this is, Des, maybe you do, but we've done Victorville to basically Highland, Redlands, San Gabriel Valley, and now back. At some point they're going to need gas.
Well,
I think this probably has I would say a mid-sized tank. I think this is I don't think it's a Juke. I'm not familiar with the Nissan SUV lineup, but kind of a mid-size, probably like 14 or 15 gallons. It's a smaller engine for sure, maybe a 4-cylinder, so not going to be, like a crazy gas guzzlers like some of the bigger SUVs we see, especially when they're going over 100 miles an hour. But yeah, did this person have a topped off tank when this pursuit began? Where were they headed to? Obviously that's anyone's guess, but we did have some super high speeds and we have covered a lot of distance. So no doubt consuming fuel, more quickly than this vehicle typically would. But most vehicles of this size have a range of, maybe 400 miles or so with a full tank. And, also not sure if this is a turbocharged 4-cylinder engine or what the trim level is. But I will say the eastbound 60, we're going to start to see conditions congeal a little bit, so to speak, on the freeway. Definitely starting to see the afternoon traffic patterns stack up here as we get towards the intersection with the 60-57. Pretty common choke point this time of the day. Not completely stopped, but definitely, some sluggish traffic. So let's see how the suspect decides to behave, if they're just going to get in the carpool lane or do any more of that right shoulder driving that we saw earlier that may have caused some damage to that trim panel there on the driver's side.
Narrowing lanes and a lot heavier traffic, Mike.
Yeah, and I just want to answer, we have a couple text to desk questions here that are coming in. If we could pull up that first one. This one is from somebody from Hawthorne that is asking, can LA County Sheriff get involved in the pursuit when it's on the freeway? So the answer is yes, they certainly have the jurisdiction to get involved should they want. But to answer the question, CHP, as we have talked about before, is an all or nothing kind of agency. CHP wants to be in full control of the pursuit. They don't want mixed agencies to be involved because they want the pursuit to be under their tactics, their set of rules, their conditions. And so CHP is back there now, again, getting close behind him, or her rather. But at this point, it's not, they can logistically and legally, but they're not going to, because if they do, then CHP is going to back out and say, we're done, we don't want it anymore.
Great question, Nabil. Yeah. And a lot of times we need to kind of remind ourselves that when CHP is involved, it's theirs till this comes to an end.
Yeah, and Jonathan also asked that question, if there's any other agencies involved. Now, the exception to that rule is the helicopter. You will see a lot of times the LA County Sheriff will be on a lot of pursuits, and CHP is fine with that, because that's more of an observer standpoint and calling things out. Yeah, and it's not really a tactical thing, whereas units on the ground would have different tactical training when it comes to pit maneuvers, when it comes to things like that. One more question I want to show here, somebody else asking about that, about pit maneuvers. When is the right time to perform a pit maneuver? Raymond's mom is watching in Torrance. She asked that question. So the pit maneuver question is going to depend on speeds, traffic conditions, etc. Des and I can count probably on two hands how many times we've seen pit maneuvers on the freeway. It's pretty uncommon just because of the amount of traffic. Speeds are usually a lot higher. Generally, most agencies will want it to be down about 30, 35 miles an hour when they're doing that pit maneuver. So that's not really, something that we'll likely see on the freeway here, especially you see the distance of the K9 unit that's back there. They are behind him, but not, we know when they're itching to do a pit. And that's not what's happening right now.
And Mike, in this case, those units behind, are they from Victorville, or it could be for whoever was last behind the driver? So
I'm trying to listen to that. These are still the K9 units, and I just don't know if they're inland K9 or if they're southern K9. So if they're inland K9, they're probably the same K9 units that have been involved in this. And we're going to be headed,
off the freeway,
exiting,
right?
Yep. Doesn't like the traffic.
At Brea?
Yeah, getting to.
Looks like she's getting off at Brea Canyon.
Canyon here, or is he just going to get right back on? Yeah, kind of back to that.
Get right back on.
Like we saw earlier with that. Yeah, maybe a little bit here. See if he can, get on the gas and get a little bit more distance from the ground unit to have suddenly re-engaged on this one. So yeah, it's gonna be this kind of choppy traffic pattern until we get all shuffled together, where the 60-57 come together here, right around Diamond Bar Boulevard. We'll see if he's going to. Which direction they're going to be going here. If he stays all the way to the right, he'll be able to take the 57 south into Orange County, but cutting all the way back over towards the left, which would join us with the eastbound 60. And yeah, I definitely would not expect to see a pit maneuver here right now, especially if we're talking about like a potentially violent suspect, if you're going to have a lot of innocent people that could potentially be in harm's way. So I would be really, really surprised, even with these lower speeds, if we were to see a pit maneuver here, trending all the way back towards the right-hand lanes, just really trying to find any kind of space they can, cutting all kinds of people off here, and back just from the far right back to the far left in the carpool lane. At least we're not seeing any crazy right shoulder driving right now. Just trying to work their way through this traffic as quickly as they can and get a little distance here with CHP, and they do have that distance at the moment because, CHP doesn't want to be cutting everyone off out there if they can avoid it. But this will keep us with the eastbound 60 and the 57 as they come together. You see the southbound 57 right there, and they're pretty committed now at this point. It will branch back off again, of course, to the north 57 and east 60, and we'll see what the suspect thinks of that juncture.
And Mike, you're getting information about that passenger?
Yeah, so I just took off from the CHP. They did locate her and have detained her. So I asked the question, what are you guys considering her at this point? Is she a victim? Is she a suspect? You know, and he said, the CHP officer said that determination really hasn't been made yet. They're going to speak with her, figure out what her involvement is, if any. Did she just know the guy, like, or the other woman, or what's the or what's the situation between them? So at this point, she's been detained. Doesn't mean she's going to go to jail, but she's at least been detained, and they're going to question her and figure out what her involvement.
Well, the good news is, Mike, she was in that car. She can tell officers a lot of information if she wants to cooperate as to whether or not there is a weapon, what's the state of mind of this person, why is she running, will she stop, where is she headed, right?
Yes, and this passenger did not have any injuries, Mike?
Not that we are aware of. I mean, they may have. Let me see if I can switch over to a different screen here and see if they called for medical for her.
That was a pretty quick jump. You know, the car was still going fast enough that you could certainly get hurt in the process.
Yeah, and they may have just, they may have somebody just come check her out just to see. I'm just looking through some things here. But yeah, at this point, we just don't know, what the nature of her injuries were. But she's at least been detained. Officers are with her and trying to figure out what she knows and, what they're going to consider her. There's more units there on the side of the freeway.
And they're certainly creeping in, getting a little closer to this car now.
And Mike, it's a time of day now where a lot of folks start heading home from work, and they live out in the inland areas, the Inland Empire, and that's why we're seeing the heavier traffic heading eastbound right now. Which may not be the smartest thing for this driver to do because eventually she's not going to be able to change lanes as quickly or get away from officers. And there's no way she cannot see them in her rearview mirror and also the helicopters above.
Yeah, this has just been such a long game that she's already played. I mean, we have covered so many miles at this point between coming out of Victorville and then going, all the way down towards San Bernardino and then west into the Antelope Valley, now back east towards where she came from. So, this has got to be such an extended period of thought too for this person, like just this constant, what am I doing? How's this going to go? Et cetera. And when it just has gone on for so long.
Do we know ages, Mike, or not really? Right?
No, we've not heard. I mean, they both appear to be adults, but that's to the extent of it.
That.
But driving at high rates of speed like this in an area that you might not be very familiar, I mean, that takes a lot of endurance to, drive at these high rates of speed, avoiding other cars, zooming through those intersections as we saw her do. And so often when we watch a long pursuit, we will see officers switch out and a new fresh officer will then take over the pursuit because it is exhausting. And so
for the officer too, right?
So she's got some endurance and seems to be managing pretty well.
And Mike, endurance and focus because I mean things are changing by the minute and she is still evading police.
Right. And decision making. I mean, whether it's right or wrong, she's not pulling over, so she's making a decision to continue this pursuit, but decisions about how she's going to handle the pursuit. I mean, you can sometimes tell how that is going via the driving. She is still, in and out of lanes here, not following traffic laws, but could certainly be driving more aggressively than she is. And so you usually, the longer these chases go on, that's when we start to see the driver's adrenaline wear down a little bit, and they're not doing these crazy 100 mile an hour, darting in and out of lanes, things like that. They start to eventually kind of, wane themselves down and get a little tired, just as anyone would. Now, we talked about how the CHP officers get to switch over. We're probably going to see that here pretty quick because we're going to come back into CHP's Rancho Cucamonga office. The beige radio is what it's going to be, and they'll be swapping out those units again. But the thing is those units were the ones that were chasing her earlier. So they got a little bit of a break when they were in LA County, but when we cross back into San Bernardino, it's likely going to be some of those same officers that were involved in this. A question from Jennifer wanted to know, should other drivers be pulling over and out of the way for the black and whites? Yes. It is state law that you were pulled to the right and get out of the way of the cop cars.
But also not make any crazy lane changes either. It's like stay in your lane, I think, right?
And I will say that it's hard with a pursuit because oftentimes it's not like they're stopped at a stoplight and they can hear it coming and they know that it's happening. These things happen, especially when we see the speeds get a little bit faster here. All of a sudden, they're just right behind you. And so, yes, you should be pulling over if you have the time and it is safe to do so. If not, those officers will go around you and figure it out. But it's these pursuits. I mean, I've been behind one on a freeway once, and it's just all of a sudden they're there, and then all of a sudden they're gone. It's a very fast thing that sometimes you don't even realize.
That's right. It takes seconds for it to just pass you, Mike. Right?
Yeah, it's very quick.
Yeah.
And she's still able to keep up pretty decent speed here, going over 70 miles an hour, creeping up on 80 now on this freeway. Traffic still light enough at 3:34 this afternoon on a Tuesday. So, her driving hasn't been as erratic as at one point we saw her zigzagging across the freeway, it seemed, going from, carpool lane over to the slow lane, wondering perhaps if she was going to get off of the highway here, but still on the 60 eastbound. Again, this started up at the 15 at Mojave, where this person was pulled over. It is a woman, a driver here, pulled over. It was determined that she had a felony warrant, had been known to be armed and dangerous, was driving, pulled over, then got back on the road and took off, evading these officers. She did, in fact, have a passenger with her that did jump out of the car at an intersection there when they were going around a curb, not completely stopped, still had a little speed, and that person just kind of tucked and rolled right out of the car. And we are showing you that there on the right side of your screen. We have seen the officers, stop chasing aggressively and just using the helicopter one and then back on.
And one failed pit maneuver that didn't work. And then the driver, say again, Mike?
Spike strip.
Oh, spike strip, that's right. And there it is. Once again, we slow-moed it. You can see there's that female passenger. And everything was so quick, we actually had to freeze that shot so you could see the woman just kind of in a fetal position and then later crawl to the curb.
Yeah, and Mike, you were telling us that officers are questioning that person at this point. She is detained, but not arrested. She's being questioned about her involvement and if anything at all, because, what the initial reason why they were pulling over this car perhaps had nothing to do with the passenger.
Right, and oftentimes, and that's why when these things turn into foot pursuits, they obviously always want the driver because that's who they're after. I mean, generally, if the passenger doesn't have any warrants, isn't wanted for anything, they don't go to jail. Even if they weren't necessarily actively trying to free themselves from the car, they're not the ones driving. So they can't be arrested for felony evading. They can't be arrested for, reckless driving, anything like that. So as long as they are not wanted for a crime or not suspected of a crime, they usually don't go to jail.
And the evading charge is mostly going to the driver, even though the suspect may be a passenger, or that changes?
So then you get into a hinky area because let's say the suspect is wanted. Let's say the car is stolen and they both had a role in stealing the car. Then they are both suspects.
Of course,
but
yes.
As far as we know in this one, it's the driver that has the warrants. She is the one actively evading, so she would be the one to go to jail. And as long as the passenger doesn't have any wants or warrants and isn't accused of any crimes, then she's going to get kicked loose.
Because typically we're not going to see a passenger jump out of the car.
Right.
Sometimes they do get out, they pull over, and then everybody in the car gets out. But in this case, you really can't expect the passenger to just jump out like she did.
Yeah, that was a pretty hard, I don't want to be here anymore, I'm done, kind of maneuver here. So it's, and it'd be interesting. Des, just out of curiosity, I'm listening to some radio traffic. Do you still see a ground unit back there?
Yeah, let me widen out here. We saw not too far back. They're
they're
still back there, kind
of
hanging back a little bit. And we are hitting kind of some more choppy traffic here from probably this point most of the way through the 15. It's going to be, it's not going to be free flow. We did see the suspect get over to the right-hand shoulder there again, just briefly to try to get a little bit more space. And we know that they could end up doing a self-spike if they spend too much time in the center divider or in the right-hand shoulder, get some freeway junk in their tires there. It's definitely happened before, but I'm actually kind of wondering because we do have some of the best spike strip attempts we've ever seen on the freeway have happened in slow traffic where they're able to kind of just keep everyone moving, but if they can get basically force the suspect into a situation where if they want to continue, they have to get over to the shoulder where the spike is, and we have seen that be successful in the past. I do wonder if CHP is thinking about that, just because it is safer and easier to coordinate in in slower traffic. Much to the chagrin of all of the drivers that get stuck in it, of course. But if it were to bring this to an end, it would certainly be worth it. So something to consider. Far from a guarantee, but you never know with CHP and some of their tactics too.
Yeah, and
trying to
she's
bring this to an end.
really just kind of zigzagging in here, getting away from that traffic now. You know, still really handling this vehicle at, you know, slower speeds now, but, you know, really not letting up at all. Just a, you know, constant sign of the desperation to get away from these officers.
And we're going at about, what, 45 minutes now, Mike, to an hour that this pursuit's been going?
I'm trying to remember.
I mean, we've been on the air for about
it's been
40
longer.
minutes.
Yeah, it's been the pursuit itself has been longer than an hour at this point, because they have, you know, all the way from Victorville and then, so I would say at least an hour at this point. What I'm going to be curious to see is this is still an LA County Sheriff's helicopter that's overhead. We are no longer in LA County, we're in San Bernardino. So I've been trying to see if there's a 40 King or even, you know, PD-10 from, who's that, Ontario ship, if they're going to come and take it over for LA County. But so far, I don't see anybody on the radar. So right now, it looks like the LA County Sheriff ship has switched over to the San Bernardino frequencies and is going to call it here. We'll just see how long that can go on. I want to ask Luke, we got another question here to the desk. If you can show that to us, thank you, Luke. Will officers be waiting in the suspect's home? Kayla R. asked.
Good question.
That is a good question, and it just depends on the circumstances. If they believe that this person, we don't know where the person lives, we don't know where, you know, that address is. If the person starts to get back towards that area, then yes, we've absolutely seen that, where officers will head towards their residence and just kind of be there in case they come home. And we've seen a number of people actually get caught that way because they do end up going home, and then there are officers already waiting for them. So it just depends, Kayla, where the suspect lives, and if we're close to that. I don't know if that's what the move in the San Gabriel Valley was, if they lived out there or knew somebody out there, or what that scenario was. We didn't hear them coordinating that, though I do know that they were talking to West Covina on the shoulder again, which was some of the driving we were doing earlier. So we'll, you know, hopefully, like Des mentioned, it'll be a self-spike. But
and there have also been cases, too, where, go ahead, Amy, you were going to say.
No, I was just going to say that he said self-spike, you know, so often there's so much debris on the shoulders that they run over something, and next thing you know, they've got a flat tire.
And I was going to say there are cases, though, where they reach out, right, maybe Mike, to family, try to get that family to call this person and say, hey, just pull over, be safe. Don't kill yourself, right?
Yeah, and they may be doing that with the person they, you know, detained.
Complete stop on the freeway there.
Yeah, rough traffic. And those units, Des, right behind her now. I see the lights in the mirror. I mean, in the back window. It sounds like the Rancho Cucamonga units are now back involved in it.
Yeah, they've closed a little bit of distance here, and see the suspect still, you know, just doing whatever they can to get some distance. I do kind of wonder if this is just turning into a situation where they're just, you know, trying to run out the clock, so to speak, and just kind of squeeze this for everything it's worth before the inevitable, and they end up in handcuffs. With so many of these suspects, they just they don't have a plan. They are content to drive aimlessly for as long as they are physically able, until either a law enforcement, you know, actively stops them, or they run out of gas, or run into a dead-end situation where they can't get out. And it's definitely kind of trending that way, just with the way that with the kind of driving we've been seeing, and now that we're trending back towards the Inland Empire. And then do they live out in San Bernardino County somewhere? Do they live in the high desert, or you know, somewhere around the city of San Bernardino or something like that? But it really just seems kind of aimless here, and the fact that, you know, we're even going
so fast
against traffic, as far as, you know, the bad traffic way, you know, where you're going to have more congestion, more just a lot of people in your way, and having to do this kind of right shoulder driving just to maintain any kind of freeway speed. So not really, you know, seeing too much of a plan from the suspect, other than to just continue this as long as they are physically able to.
She's, you know, been very aggressive, and you know, you have to wonder about all the other drivers that are out there that don't know that she's being chased by law enforcement, and they just see somebody kind of coming up and making aggressive lane changes, and you know, completely unaware that she's been chased for more than an hour now.
Yeah.
And we've all been there when somebody comes up on your tail and wants you to move out of that fast lane because you're not going fast enough, even though you're going plenty fast. And here's a situation where, you know, she's changing lanes so quickly, you just don't know what's going on. It can be very confusing for those people out there, very dangerous still, even though we're on freeways.
And I want to bring up, Luke, if you can show another question here from Text to Desk, because this is a good question about what happens if, you know, especially when we get into these busier traffic times and you happen to get involved. If you get hit by that fleeing driver, are they responsible? It looks like her hand's out the window now. She's telling people to stop chasing her. Yeah.
First time we've seen that.
Telling you, yeah. And now she's got a blinker on too.
Yeah. But so,
maybe,
well,
maybe we're
is this
gonna
it? No.
Yeah, we'll see, but.
What was that about?
Well, now she's got the blinker back on, like she's gonna get back into lanes, but. Well, yeah, hands up here might be, you know, kind of a. Yeah.
Both hands. What?
Do that while the car's in motion, but drive the car.
Is that a shadow?
Still
That's
gotta
got to
bring
be
the
a
car to a
shadow.
stop.
Both hands are out the door.
Both hands.
No.
Holy
yeah,
cow.
both hands off. So okay, well, let's see if this is indeed the end.
If she ran out of gas finally.
Quite possibly,
maybe,
yeah.
Mike.
Definitely worth wondering, and that's how a lot of these pursuits end up coming to an end when they don't want to stop.
Yeah.
Just,
sure
like
is
I
going
said,
to ruin
have to
the
wait
commute for a
the
lot of
inevitable.
people stuck on that freeway while they investigate. That's for sure.
Well, you know, she's got her hands out, but you wonder why she's not
Hit
stopping.
the brakes. Yeah.
And who's holding onto the steering wheel? Her. Oh, okay, she's pulling over.
There we go. All right, we'll move north a little here.
Right in the shoulder.
All right.
Trying to move to the north of the Sound Wall. Yeah, right here at Vineyard in Ontario. So we're right by Ontario Airport, and you know, if traffic wasn't already bad enough for everyone just trying to get home, it is about to get a lot worse here.
Oh yeah.
Hopefully the suspect will just surrender quickly, and they can move, you know, the vehicle off and finish their investigation off at Vineyard or something. CHP is usually pretty good about getting that moving as quickly as possible. We got a motorcycle officer here, and here is the riled up canine, the Malinois, that is just been, I'm sure his
ready to go to
handler's
work.
been getting them all worked up. And you know, just to make sure that let the suspect know that they mean business. Don't even think about getting out and running, because it's going to end a lot worse for you than just being in handcuffs if you do decide to get out and run. So looks like maybe some sort of negotiation going on here with the hands out the window. Obviously the best thing would just be, there's really nothing left to say at this point. Just get out of the vehicle and cooperate.
So I'm listening to the radio. Suspect's mother is on the phone with 911, advising that the suspect may be hard of hearing and possibly has some mental health issues, but says that she is not armed. That's at least what the suspect's mother is telling CHP. So hopefully the mom had a conversation with her as well and said to just, you know, kind of give it up. But it looks like that she's out of the car now, which is good. Hopefully the car is out of gas.
She's an older gal too.
And hopefully this just, you know, complies and we can just be in handcuffs and be done.
And, you know, Mike, going back to her being hearing impaired, that could be a real, you know, different way to handle the situation. So it's a good thing that the mother was on the phone. Perhaps the mother was flipping through channels and saw what was going on, recognized the car, called 911 to let them know that their daughter is hard of hearing and may have some mental health issues. So,
and I mean, any information that these officers can get is going to benefit them.
Totally. Well, look, they're just having her walk over, Mike. They're not even having her lay flat on the road or anything like that. Yes. What? No.
Yeah, I'm sure that pavement's really warm today too. But there you go. I just had Ted get in a position there, and now they're going to just come and clear the vehicle and just be absolutely sure there's no one that hiding in the back seats or in the luggage compartment there in the rear hatch. But to the best of our knowledge, it was just the two. See a couple officers now coming, clearing the vehicle very quickly. It's nice that window is rolled down as well, so give them some added confidence that the vehicle is indeed clear, and we should see 4 fingers for code 4 here, and there we go. The situation has been diffused. There it is, and marathon pursuit comes to an end here in Ontario without incident, most likely after running out of gas.
All right, that is good news. We get a code 4 here of a very long pursuit of a suspect wanted with a felony warrant for Mike Rogers, Desmond Shaw, Amy Johnson. I'm Juan Fernandez. We're going to go back to regular programming here on KCAL 9, and we will see you in just a few minutes for CBS LA at 4 o'clock over on Channel 2.